Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. I think I'm going to shoot one more video of this mower. This will probably be the last one, but one little upgrade I had to do. I went into all these little screws and drilled a little hole in it and ran some safety wire across it. Because man, this thing vibrates. And it vibrates a lot. I think the vibration is mostly coming from this right side here, but I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how to fix it. Something is not correct. I don't know if the vibration is normal, and if it was on a regular tractor with an engine that's making noise and vibrating, if you'd even notice it. But it's annoying. So I don't know. I don't really know how much I'm going to use this thing, but I am going to go ahead and finish this yard. And there was someone that commented that they wanted to see an action shot. I've got a few other action videos of this thing, but we'll go ahead and shoot another one with it painted and the motor being in the middle, and let's go do that. Here's the part that I did earlier today. I didn't make it all the way to the end. This grass is really, really thick, and the problem with the flail mower is that it needs quite a bit of drum speed to get it going. It needs quite a bit of horsepower, more than torque, and basically horsepower is just torque times RPM divided by 5252 if you want to be specific, but that is literally what horsepower is. And if you don't have enough speed on the drum of this thing, then the motor just struggles to keep up. And that's kind of sort of a downside of electric drive. The RPM of the motor is directly related to the amount of voltage fed to it. The amount of torque is directly related to the amount of amperage fed to it. So if we're starting out now, you see on the lower left we got 56.7. When I finished this up earlier today, I was down at 51, 52 amps, 51 or 52 volts, and that has a significant impact on the speed of the drum. No matter how much torque the motor is putting out, if it's putting out that torque at a low RPM, the horsepower is also low. So the higher the RPM, the more horsepower you get. Unfortunately, as you're going to see here in a minute, the faster the drum goes, the more vibration and kind of not so much noise. It's kind of noisy, but the more vibration there is. And but we'll go ahead and fire it up right now. So the way this works, I've got a little variable. It's a resistor. What do they call it? A potentiometer. And this goes to a tiny little speed controller. And this will slowly speed up the motor. And once the motor is, 50 to 80% full speed, then I'll go ahead and flip this switch up, which closes a contactor and gives full power to the motor. So here we go. is really, really thick grass. I think what I'm going to do, just for experiment's sake, I'm going to go ahead and switch this motor around and put it on my rotary cut mower and see how it does with this. I showed you a little bit of how the look at all this, what about all that, a mess. I showed you how the amperage kicks up to over 100, and then if you got over 100 amps and you're spinning it, 54, 55 volts, that's well into 5 kilowatts. So you're talking 6, even 7 horsepower to turn this thing around. I think I've got a bit of belt slip too. Well, I don't think I do. I know I do, because I come over here and feel this top pulley is pretty damn hot. So that thing is slipping for sure. I do have a bit more. I could tension this some more. That would probably help. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull this motor off. I'm going to put it on my rotary cut mower, and we'll pick you up then. All right, it doesn't really take very long to swap that motor over. It takes longer to swap it over from the flail mower than it does to this or anything else I've got. For those of you who've never seen this, this is my finish mower. It is more form it's more function than form, I guess. It's not very pretty. I've had to add these little stabilizers in there because the whole deck was wobbling, and anyway. But this thing is, for what it is, it's held up extraordinarily well. It's about 6 years old, and it's really, really done well. But that's my little 2-inch receiver hitch mount. I've got the same receiver hitch on a well, I'll show you when I put this away after we're done here, but on a wood chipper, and also a pressure washer, and also a little tiller that I don't really use anymore. But that's how this all sort of hooks up. Let's take it on out there and see what we got. Hold on. Well, unfortunately, we have some lost video. I don't know what happened to it, but what I did was I just did 2 passes with the rotary mower and showed the amperage draw and all that stuff. And it turns out that it's very, very close. The rotary mower is considerably, there's hardly any vibration at all. It is kind of noisy, but there's no vibration, which makes the use of it a whole lot more enjoyable. It doesn't work extremely well. It doesn't work as good as the flail mower on long grass like this. So that is when I decided that I'm going to go ahead and put a different mower on. Here's the video of that. This is the other mower. This is a brush mower. It's like one of those DR mowers, the walk behind ones with the handlebars, and it's got powered wheels in the back. I've got a whole series of build videos on this as well. This is actually one of my favorite attachments, and it'll be pretty obvious why, but I want to go ahead and see what this thing does. The problem with this is it's not nearly as wide. I think this is maybe 30 inches wide, whereas the rotary mower and the flail mower, they're both 48 inches wide. So the power consumption is going to be different, because this isn't taking such a big bite of grass. One thing that sort of what inspired this is, as I was going over this really thick stuff with the rotary mower, I wasn't even sure if it was cutting it. I think it was just making it mad. And if you sort of pull this up, you can see it's still really tall. So the only thing that's keeping it down right now is just this big mat of cut grass. With the flail mower, at least, it was definitely cutting it. Yeah, you come back here, you can see this was definitely getting cut with the flail mower. It's a lot to ask of a rotary mower to do anything with grass this tall, especially when you've got a 1,100-pound tractor that's smashing the grass on two little tracks, and then asking the mower to, I guess, vacuum up what it needs to vacuum up the grass. Sorry. Anyway, but here's how this thing works. This is sort of held up by the front winch. So we'll go ahead and lower the winch down. Lower the winch down, and then it's the same thing. You just start it up, get it going, and then hit on. Now there's the reason I like this. There's no vibration, and it's really, really quiet. The cool thing about it is, since it's not taking as big of a cut, I can go quite a bit faster, but we'll still do a comparison. Now my voltage is down. We were at 56 earlier, we're at 55 now. So my voltage is down, but the kilowatts is still going to be the same. The power is still going to be the same. So let's see what this does. Yeah, you can see this is pulling 50 to 60 amps. This never pulls anything like 80 or 100. So this is considerably less power to run this thing. And I'm going, I wouldn't say I'm going twice as fast, but I'm definitely going faster. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a 3-point turn again, just so we can have like a before and after. Yeah, this is having no trouble at all getting through this tall stuff. And I think just looking at it, it looks like it's actually cutting it too. I'm able to drive a whole lot faster, and it's a whole lot more pleasant. So let's see how that does. That cuts really, really great. Yeah, that cuts really, really nice. So it is actually cutting better. It's cutting considerably better than the rotary mower was. Like you see this here, this is all really, really long. And there's none of that where this was. Well, here's where my tire tracks were. So the tires are still pushing down. So the flail mower does a better, more consistent job of actually cutting all the grass, because it's wider than the tractor, and it just cuts it down before the tractor has a chance to roll over it. So I guess the answer to all this is I need a bigger one of those mounted on the front. Just what I need. Another project to be continued. Well, there we go. That does cut extremely well with very low power consumption. I think we might be onto something here. Let's go see what else I got. This is my other little tractor. I converted this guy back about 7 years ago. Originally, I just took the Briggs & Stratton out of it and put the double pulley on the electric motor, and it was just sitting there. That's why these batteries are configured like that. But I quickly, and I had the belly mower on it. I got rid of that because this is just a cheap, Murray lawnmower, and it didn't cut particularly well. The deck was really flimsy, and it liked to scalp pretty bad. So I ended up getting rid of the deck and moving the motor back here, just to have it directly coupled to the transaxle. And same as on the big tractor. This is actually what I use to cut the grass most of the time, because it uses a bit less power than that does. And it's a little easier to navigate. It's shorter, it turns a little bit tighter, and of course it uses less power. And that's where the rotary mower lives. Let's turn some lights on here. All right, here's where everything else lives. This, if you look at some of my very, very first videos, scroll all the way down, you'll see this thing. The motor that's in that little Murray is what used to power this thing. This was my first conversion ever. So that's going back, 10 years ago. It's just kind of sitting here because this is one of those things that looks really, really cool on paper, little 2-wheel drive motorcycle, especially an electric one. And it was cool, but it ultimately just wasn't very good at anything, because you couldn't, it didn't turn sharp at all, and you couldn't put anything on it, and you had to have your feet down if you were, anyway. So I ended up taking that apart, and it's just sitting here because I don't really know what to do with it. I hate to get rid of it, but I don't know. I thought maybe I'll use the tires for something. Anyway, this is my little pressure washer. You see, that's the receiver hitch. So the coupler that's on the Flail, it goes onto that, and then the motor sits on here on the receiver hitch and then turns into this, and you just tighten it down, and it's direct drive into the pressure washer. That works pretty good. This is the obviously it's my chipper shredder, and again, receiver hitch slides in there, pull a belt tension on it, tighten those down, and there you go. You got to be careful with this thing though. You may not know this, but these will accumulate chips down here. And if you go and reach your hand in there, even with a cut-proof glove on there, if you reach your hand in there, it'll try and take your fingers off. Don't ask me how I know. That is that. And then the last one is this little tiller. This tiller is set up with a 3-point for the Murray, but I never really got it to work right. I used to have like a little swivel caster on the back of it, and then I wanted to try it with the 3-point, but it never really did work very good. With that little Murray, what would happen is the tines, they would spin with the direction of travel, and since that Murray's so light, the tines would basically just push the tractor forward. And I've never gone ahead and upgraded this 3-point to an actual category 1 like what's on the Cub to see what it would actually do if it had something to push against. And then we sort of went to raised beds in our garden, and that's sort of the end of that. But again, it's got the same receiver hitch. So that one motor can be used for all these implements fairly easily. And only the implements that mount on the front, the brush hog and the rotary, or the flail mower, they can't be used on this, but everything else can be used with this. All right, I think that takes care of it. All right, thanks for watching.